You a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now is supported by Kettering University. Kettering University is where robotics students come for their education. Over 30% of those who attend Kettering University were in high school robotics, and you can keep going with their BattleBots, VexU, esports, and FIRST mentorship programs. If you are a U.S. student grades 8 through 12, scan the QR code to stay up to date on info and events happening at Kettering and get a free Kettering t-shirt when you sign up by December 12, 2021. We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting fun so we can continue to make content for you. Stryker makes some of the most revolutionary medical equipment and is a big supporter of FIRST and its participants. If you are looking for an internship or career that supports you being in FIRST, check out careers.stryker.com to learn more.
Hi everyone, welcome to Fun FTC. It's kickoff day and we've got a breakdown of the new game, Fright Frenzy, right here on First Updates Now. For First Updates Now, I'm Ishan and joining me are Abbas and Egan. Before we jump into the game, we've got a lot to talk about on the game. But Tyler, could we start a giveaway for the Go Build a Gecko wheels?
Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, we got to Go Build a Gecko wheel. We're going to be giving away on there if you're interested in winning. It's a little bit different with YouTube, by the way, so bear with us as we go through this. But the giveaway for that, type Go Ducky in chat. Go Ducky in chat. That's going to be the keyword for that. We'll show it up on screen a little bit later as well, too. Subscribers, if you're subscribed to the Fun YouTube page, you're going to get 5 times chance to win, by the way. So make sure you subscribe to the Fun YouTube page, and we'll draw for that in a little bit.
Awesome. Really excited to see those. The Gecko wheels definitely can be used in this game, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to strategy. But to start us off, we're going to give you an overview of the game, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the strategy because that's going to be a huge part of this game. The Fright Frenzy game just has a ton of ways to score, making it have a ton of strategies that could be used to win this game. There are huge wobble goals, which are called shipping hubs, where teams can score freight, which are blocks and balls. The freights can have different weights, which allow the wobble goals to tip back and forth. A lot of dynamics and mechanics there. There are ducks that can be scored on a carousel. And for the first time in a long time, alliances will be competing for points that only one alliance can score. Right? In the past, we've had something like the beacons, but there's always been 2 beacons, so one alliance can get each one. Here, only one alliance can get that center goal scored in their side. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic play out. And let's just jump right into the autonomous. So Egan, could you walk us through the autonomous period and what ways teams can score there?
Yeah, so autonomous has a lot of familiar elements to it from past games. So like the alliances start on opposite sides and begin with 3 marked barcodes in front of each robot. So this is just like in Rover Ruckus, how one of the little spots had silver, or kind of down the same vein, there's randomization every game. And your team will use vision tracking to scan essentially which barcode either one of the blocks or your team element is in, to get like a code of where to put that block. So it's a little complicated, but wherever that block starts on in the beginning, if you take that and score it on your tower in the right spot, then you get like a bunch of points. And during autonomous, you can also spin that little carousel in the corner. If you get a duck off of there, you get points, or your team scoring element. And then you can score the elements just like you can as we're coming up on Teleop, where you can place them in different levels of the shipping hubs.
Yep, awesome. So a lot of ways to score. What did you think about the autonomous at a first glance? Easier, harder? Like anything that stood out to you as something that teams should definitely watch out for?
Yeah, so first glance, definitely the level that you're going to put your block or scoring element. I forget what the blocks are called already. What is
Cargo.
The cargo. So that's going to be the most important part. The best way to get points. I want to say it's like 10 or 20 points if you get it in the right spot. Mm-hmm. Which is a lot, because 6 points is like your top level. So that's definitely, I think, going to be the most important, is getting that vision nailed down and and consistent, being able to score that.
Yeah, I had a couple thoughts about the autonomous. Oh, also, I just realized the cargo are the balls, and then the blocks are just boxes. So,
Okay.
but looking at the autonomous, one thing that I thought was really interesting was delivering the ducks via the carousel. It's 10 points in the autonomous period for every duck you deliver, and it's 6 points in endgame for every duck you deliver, right? And so there's also like I think a discussion to be had of like doing what do you do in endgame? Like, do you do ducks? Do you cap? Do you work on getting your shared alliance hub like balanced or unbalanced and all of those things? And I think if you can knock out as many ducks as you can in autonomous, it just really it really makes it a lot easier to decide what to do in endgame, and it reduces the number of things you have to do in endgame. I think it will be interesting though, like how teams decide like when to like continue spinning the wheel. I'm not sure if they'll have it like constantly spinning or if there's any rules. I thought I saw that the wheel had to be completely stopped for a person to put a new duck on. So I think it'll be interesting to see what teams come up with that, to decide when to start and stop the wheel and when the duck's falling off and things like that.
Yeah, so a couple things to clarify on that. Again, we are not the game manual,
Mhm.
so take everything we say with a grain of salt. But reading the game manual, it says that in autonomous, you get 10 points for delivering the pre-placed duck on the carousel, which means that there's only one duck that's pre-placed, so 1 point, one
Mhm.
scoring objective per alliance, which means that if you get those 10 points, great. If not, you can always take the 6 points in end game. And that's something that teams could definitely consider. Is the 4 points really worth doing in autonomous? It's going to be a little bit harder. Abbas, you want to talk us through the teleoperated period?
Yeah, sure. So I think the teleop here is one of the most complicated we've seen in a couple years. There's not just one task. While there are familiar elements from past games, you have a lot of different actions that can earn points, right? Just starting off, you have the 1 point for placing freight in the alliance specific storage unit, which is sort of similar to Rover Ruckus, where you have the taped off depots in the corners. You get a couple points for shoving some minerals in there. Same concept. Then you move on to the Alliance shipping hub, which is Alliance specific. And here you have 3 levels, lowest level being 2, then 4, then 6, which is similar to the scoring system from Ultimate Goal. And I think here what's interesting is that, all of the levels, they're not like crazy, crazy high. The highest one I think is either 13 and a half, 13 and a quarter, something like that, maybe 14. And then it just goes down from there. And then like the capstone mark is 20 inches high. So, you're not going to any super crazy heights like you were in Skystone, which should be interesting how teams react to like slide designs or vertical lifts and things like that. Now, the last way for an alliance to earn points in the teleop driver controlled period is placing freight on the shared alliance shipping hub. And here you get 4 points per cargo or per freight on the shipping hub. And I think it's interesting to see how teams will prioritize like the shared shipping hub versus the alliance specific hub, and decide like is it going to be one team for each, 2 teams for one. What's the strategy going to be here? And I think there's a lot of room for some pretty cool strategies in the driver controlled period.
Yep.
What do you guys
And
think? Any interesting
definitely,
strategies?
the shared hub just adds a new dynamic to the game. If there was no shared hub, I think I would agree that this is like just Rover Ruckus all over again. But that shared hub, just so much strategy that can go into it. Do you prioritize getting 4 points but guaranteeing those 20 at the end, or do you try to go for that high goal, get the 6 points, but getting that shared hub in the middle is going to be a little bit harder for you because you're not going to have as much time to do it.
And then
It's
yeah,
yeah, go for it.
Even more than that, like the shared hub is closer than the alliance specific hub, right? So it's less points, but it's also less distance. So how does that work out? I think it's a very interesting discussion to be had, and I think we'll see a lot of interesting things as the season progresses.
Makes sense. All right, want to talk us through the
Sure.
end game, Egan?
Yeah. So end game kind of follows the same sort of thing as auto, like same old, same old. There are 2 like main tasks at an end game. The first one is capping your alliance shipping hub. So that's putting your team scoring element on the very top. That's going to earn you 15 points doing that. If you deliver any more ducks to the field or your own little scoring element to the field, you get 6 points each in endgame. You can't do that in teleop. So you can only deliver the preloaded one in auto. Can't add any more in teleop, and can deliver as many as possible in endgame. There's parking bonuses. Like if you park completely inside the warehouse zone, you get like 5 or 10 points or something like that. Points.
Yeah.
And then, but the biggest thing is getting the Alliance hub or the shared hub to your side. So if you get the shared hub to tip over and stay on your Alliance's side, that's 20 points. And if you balance your own hub to get it standing straight up, that's 10 points. So certainly a lot of this comes down to balancing, right? So maybe getting the elements in the right spots on these big wobble goals might be difficult, and especially for that one in the center, the shared one, you kind of have to weigh your options, whether you want the fat 20 points from that at the end of the game or want to work on your own. So certainly a lot of ways to approach that question. Do y'all have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think one thing I was thinking with like the whole weighting and balances is like there's like three different types of boxes, right? Like you have your light boxes, your medium boxes, and your heavy boxes. And now you have to decide which of those boxes to use. And I'm not even sure if you can see which box you're collecting while you're just going to intake one mineral during a match, right? And how that affects it. Because I was looking, I don't think HandyMart published like the weights of anything. So if you happen to just get like a heavy box when you were expecting a light one, and now your like top is really unbalanced, and who knows how many like 2, 3, 4 light boxes you have to put to counter it on the other side. I think that's going to be that's going to be really, really interesting to see how teams respond to that. If they have any systems to know what type of box they're collecting at any time.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see those weighted boxes. They did announce before the game was released that they would be making a modification to the boxes. I thought they were going to put boxes together. Really cool that they got those weights in there. I think that definitely adds a whole new mechanic to the game, whether teams are going to try to sense those weights or they're going to just try, like, who cares what the weights are, just get them in.
Yeah.
The one thing with me that I think is really interesting is with the shared one, you're trying to unbalance it to your side. But with the Alliance specific one, you're trying to balance it to your side, which is just completely opposite.
Yeah.
And so two different goals for two different things. When we get more into strategy, I'll definitely talk about it seems to be easier to unbalance something, right? And so the point differentials, endgame is worth a lot of points. And I think someone in the chat said, in a perfect game, you get 9 duckies in endgame, right? Because you have that one that you already did during autonomous. That's 56 points, 6 points a ducky, right? And I think what would that be? 30 seconds divided by 9. What
like
is
pretty
that?
much 2 point, like pretty much 3 seconds.
3
Yeah.
seconds. Let's say it's
Yeah.
3.2 seconds or whatever. I think that seems feasible to get the duckies out, right? That's 1, 2, 3. I think that's pretty feasible, right? I can definitely place ducks on that carousel at a 3-second rate, and teams are going to figure out how to get those ducks getting off of that platform really quickly. It's just a matter of how else they're able to do it. So just my 2 cents on that. I think really cool game. This is the first time that we've seen the team has to make so many decisions, right? Very difficult game to drive for, right? Let's go back a couple of years. Ultimate Goal. The only decision you had to make was, do I go power shots or do I go high goal?
Yeah.
Power shots are a little less accurate, but more points. High goal is a
Right.
little bit more accurate.
The balancing, just the balancing itself adds so much complexity into the game, like strategy and driving.
Right. Yeah, like where do I place it on the platform? Do I place a heavy block? Do I place a light block? In Sky Zone, right? What were your decisions? Do you split up and build 2 towers, or do you build 1 tower? And do you try to build a 2x2 base, right?
Or double capping.
Or double
capping.
Double capping was a possibility, but like it didn't happen because of COVID, right? We didn't see too much double capping. Then what was the game before that? Rover Ruckus. Do you play Close Crater or Far Crater?
Yeah.
Right? Like people say that this game is like Rover Ruckus, but it's nothing like Rover Ruckus. Sure, mechanically it might be, but the decisions you have to make, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you can.
I think with the go ahead.
Okay. The biggest difference I think between this and Rover Ruckus that sets it apart is the big thing, first of all, is the one element possession limit. So you can only have one thing, not including your team scoring element, in possession at a time. And the other thing is to even get anything out of the warehouse area, you have to enter it completely and then exit completely with that game piece for it to be eligible to score.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely agree. It like very very strange game compared to like everything we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
With like mechanically maybe not, but strategy wise very.
Yeah, it's weird because it has like so many things from other games. You know, like you have your minerals from Rover Ruckus, you have your scoring system and Wobble Goal from Ultimate Goal. Like you have like lifts and stuff from Skystone, but at the same time, it's completely different than all of these games. I think it's really interesting. And like ducks, like how do ducks relate to freight transportation? Not sure on that one, but that's pretty cool that they still brought
I
them in.
think the GDC was just memeing.
Yeah.
They're into the dank memes.
Yeah.
Cool.
One thing interesting with the carousel though is that it has to be completely stopped before you can place anything, right? You get a major penalty if it's not completely stopped. So not only do you have to start it, but you also have to stop it quickly in order to get that, 3-second cycle that we were talking about before.
Yep, definitely. Before we get more into strategy, I got some questions, some topics that we are going to talk about, and I also asked you all to create your own strategy. Let's draw our giveaway winner and start our next giveaway. So Tyler, do you want to draw for our Go Builder Gecko wheels?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So once again, Go Ducky was the keyword for that. So you'll get yourself one of those awesome. They're the 3613 series gecko. That's what sounds right to me. I know we got a couple of them due over the course of the stream. So yeah, this is what you get. So the winner of that is going to be Jonathan Esco. So Jonathan, shoot me a message if you don't mind. I know YouTube's a little bit difficult with that, but if you message us on Discord, we'll get that taken care of for you. So congratulations, and we still got an Andy Mark gift card to give away as well.
Awesome. Yeah, do we want to start the giveaway for the Andy Mark gift card, Tyler?
Oh yeah, sure, we can do that. So Andy Mark has a $25 gift card that they will email out to you. So if you're interested in winning that, we're going to use Tile Runner as the keyword. We'll do that as one word, by the way. Tile Runner is one word, and the Mark gift card could be yours.
Awesome. So Tyler Runner in the chat for the gift card. Also, if you have any questions for us, want to pick our brains about strategy, I think between the three of us, we probably have like 10 years of first experience at least.
Yeah.
10 years of FTC experience. I'm just a guess there. How many years, Egan and Voss?
4.
In FTC or first?
FTC.
Well, this would be 4.
4. Okay, 4 and 4. Yeah, we're at like 15
12.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you want to pick our brain, tag at First Updates now in the chat. We'll answer any questions you have about what we think about the strategies. But going into this, I asked the two of you to come up with what you think would be a cool strategy or a good strategy for a team playing this game. I haven't heard these strategies, so you'll hear my reaction to these strategies up front, and I've also prepared my own strategy. Egan, do you want to go ahead and talk us through your strategy? Or Abbas, you want to go and
can
talk
I
about
defer?
Sure.
I think I need an
let's
example
go.
of how to format
Yeah,
it.
there's one I was thinking about, and I think I saw someone in the chat also mention it. I'm sort of against the whole balancing the wobble goal, or not the wobble goal, the alliance specific shipping hub idea. I think just pump and dump, right? Like just keep going and going and going, and I think it'll be you'll get a lot more points, right? You'll outscore those 10 points you get for balancing by just dumping them on to the top. So I think that's probably my strategy. Wanted to see what you guys think about it.
So you're just gonna go for the shared goal. What are you gonna do during auto and endgame?
Well, no. For the alliance specific goal, like trying not to or not caring about balance.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like if it's balanced, that's awesome. But what's more important is just getting the freight on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So Egan, you got one point of strategy that you think is gonna work out?
Yeah, I think. Oh man, I swear I had something before. I think definitely Voss is on the right track with just pumping or at least not caring about leveling the alliance goal. Just because I think you're going to get to a point where you'd rather have it like stable sitting on the ground than, trying to load up the top, get max points, and then it tipping over like your tower in Skystone. So,
Okay.
Definitely focusing on bottom tracks, and you'll get more points on the shared goal bottom track.
Yeah,
And that's
I
gonna be
wonder
plus.
if you can tip it. I think that's an interesting thing, Egan, you brought up.
Yeah.
Like, is it even?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an 18-inch wide base, right? How easy is that to tip?
Yeah. So, well, the bottom goal, the actual bottom dish is 18 inches wide, but the part that sits on the ground is about a third of that, maybe a little more.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Okay.
like a little bubble underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay.
But once it
All right.
tips, it doesn't like totally tip.
Yep.
Hey,
All
Sean,
right,
is it time to put you on the spot?
My strategy.
Yeah.
So I did a point breakdown on this game again. I'm assuming 5-second cycles because that's about what we saw. We saw about 30 cycles in Rover Ruckus, right? And I think these cycles are going to be a very similar length. Sure, you have to cross over those pipes, but it's also less distance to be traveled. And I think that teams can get to a 5-second cycle. So that's 24 blocks over 2 minutes, right? Approximately 24 cycles over 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They might be able to hit 30. There's also only 40 blocks / balls on your side of the field. So that could be starving in the future, but I don't think it's going to get there. So let's say you have 24 blocks, right? I think you throw them all in the shared hub. Don't even worry about your
Damn.
alliance-specific hub. Your alliance-specific hub stays balanced. You get 10 points there. Throw them all in the shared hub. That's 24 times 4, right? 96 points. Plus you got those 10 from your alliance specific being balanced. Plus you get
106.
20 because if you throw all of yours in the shared hub, I think you win that. And personally, I think whoever tips it in their favor first is going to win because of physics, right? Let's say I place a block in there after it's tipped in the opposite direction. That block is going to want to move towards the center, even though it's got those ridges to prevent the block from like actually crossing over into a different zone. It's still going to want to move towards the center, and it's just going to be harder to place into. So you got to win that tilt at the beginning. Get those 20 points, right? That's 126 points that you can get right there from just loading 24 of those blocks into the shared hub, because you get those 10 free points from balancing, and you get the 20 extra points for tipping it in your direction. That being said, I do see a case, right? Let's say you have 2 solid robots. You have one robot doing the high and one robot doing the low, but I also don't know how much you can fit in the high, right? You can probably fit 10 to 12 packages in there. Maybe you just throw both robots doing the low one, right? The shared one, and you just absolutely load that up. Sure, you lose 2 points times 10, but you make those points up in tipping it in your direction.
Yeah.
Cool. That's my 2
idea.
cents. Yep. What do you all think about that?
No, it's interesting. And I think another thing to build on that, right? Like if you have 2 robots, then I think there's also a discussion to be had about narrow robots, right? Like you have that 13.5 inches where you don't have to cross any terrain. And if you can have one robot that's going around and one robot that's going through, I mean, it'd probably just make it like more efficient. Maybe it would make it more efficient. I'm not completely sure yet, but I think there is a discussion to be had on narrow robots as well.
So I was going to bring that up. I have a list of like questions, deciding decisions that teams are going to have to make really soon. Narrow robots. Egan, what do you think about them?
I'm just going back. The space that you get to move through there is half a tile.
It's 13.5 inches, so it's a little over, but yeah.
A little over, but like 13.5 inches is, I guess the blocks themselves are only like 2 inches across. And, building drivetrains that are super small are not like uncommon. It just seems like you're stretching too much for something that may not be a huge benefit, because as soon as you get in there, you've got to deal with all of those blocks in there, however they ended up, right? So you may avoid the pipes as a barrier, but driving over all of that's not helping either. So
Well,
just
but
pick
the
your
blocks
battles
are like
there.
one tile away, right? So your robot will be hitting flat ground before it gets in there. But I've always been a big advocate of like a do-it-all robot. Like I don't think you should restrict yourself from any part of the field ever. And I think if you restrict yourself from taking that narrow path, that's like I just don't think that's a smart design decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like the narrow robot, I can see it working. The reason
Hmm.
why I like a narrow robot is because then you can do odometry, right?
Yeah.
Team that wants to cycle during auto, build a narrow robot, then you can just go through that gap and cycle during auto. That
Yeah.
being said, I don't like the narrow robot because it restricts where you go. Though, with only a one possession limit, I don't think it's the worst idea to have a narrow robot because you don't need an extra wide intake like you needed in
Hmm.
Rescue in last year, right? You can
Yeah.
build a super narrow intake. You just want to pick up one block. If you're building a wide intake, you're screwed. Just put
Yeah.
it that way. You're going to pick up more
And
than
then
one.
So, Ishan, what about not only a narrow robot, but a short robot as well, like 13 by 13, 12 by 12. So not only
I
do you have to go
totally
straight, but
mess with making a
you can go
small
sideways
box
also.
robot.
Because
The thing with the short robot is if you're doing a narrow robot, having a short robot is probably a good idea because you're going to tip over,
yeah,
right? Especially if you've got Mecanum wheels on there, which is like you should put on Mecanum wheels if you're
yeah.
building a narrow robot because there's no other point, right? You want to get the
Hmm.
strafing.
You want the
As
maneuverability.
soon as you start accelerating in the horizontal direction, you might tip, right? And
Hmm.
so if you're going to build a narrow robot, I think you also build a short one and then you try to extend to reach up. Definitely can
Yeah.
see that being like a B side robot, like the secondary robot. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that's a cool design decision, right? Teams that with a narrow robot could win.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping them, right? It's just something that teams have to think about. All
And
right,
I think, oh, I
go
think
ahead.
like even if you have a narrow robot, I think you should still be able to go over the barrier. Like you should definitely make sure your robot can just do everything. I think it's not a good idea to restrict yourself from like an entire part of the field for the whole match, every match.
Yep, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Question in the chat. Opinions on using odometry. Personally, it doesn't seem necessary considering the scoring points are mobile, unlike last year with the shooting positions. What do you all think?
I think odometry's definitely only use is happening in auto. Like there's
Yeah.
no in like Skystone, we saw people doing like guided paths back to the waffle iron uh to put their blocks up, but all of that movement's just going to be driver controlled. So I mean, if you can avoid going into the warehouse in auto, you certainly don't need odometry.
Yep, definitely agree. I auto is also not a very movement heavy auto, right? Like it's not that much motion.
Right.
You can probably do it very quickly. So I agree. Odometry not necessary. If you're building a narrow robot, go for it. Auto cycling will become a thing, but if you're auto cycling, you should be able to climb over those ridges and be able to localize in a different way.
Yeah.
All right,
I I
go
think the
ahead.
consistency of odometry is important. Like if you hit your partner during a match, I mean, I know it happened to us a couple, like once or twice at MTI, happened once or twice at scrimmages and things like that, and still knowing your location is a huge help. You can definitely do that with Vuforia or image recognition or anything like that. But just drive encoders, that's really difficult to do just based off of that.
Yep. Wanted to bring up the topic of defense, right? We saw it at MTI. It made the difference. It decided finals. Like I am
Yeah.
sworn by that defense that Beachbots played decided
Hmm.
finals in MTI. Um, do we think defense is going to come into play this game?
Definitely. You have the neutral, the freight or the warehouses are neutral, and then you can, I think, if you're going for the shared alliance hub, and you keep going into the other warehouse, where all of like let's say you're red, you're going into the blue warehouse to get the cargo or the freight, while blue is trying to score into that shared alliance hub. I think that could definitely mess with them. I think it'd be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Is there any
Speaking of,
limit on going into the other side warehouse?
no,
I think
Oh,
they're neutral.
they're neutral.
okay.
So
So
the only thing is during autonomous, you only score points for parking in your side's warehouse.
Got
I want to pull this up. So here's an overhead view of the field, right? You've got your 2 warehouses in the top left and right corners, and then you've got your 2 goals. As someone who is a big fan of defense, I wish FTC had more defense. I wish refs supported it more, and I wish it was written into the game manual that defense is quote unquote allowed. I don't see a reason to play defense in this game. Like, I look for places to play defense, and if they are saying that they're splitting the freight equally between the 2 sides, right? So that makes it so you have 40 on each side. If you can do 24 cycles, which means that you're not doing an end game, you're not doing anything else, you're just cycling, then you're 8 blocks short. But we know that teams are going to do an end game and whatnot. So both teams on your alliance would have to do 20 cycles, which is just absolutely absurd, right? To train that. Like, it'll happen at Worlds, maybe, but it's still going to be very difficult to hit. If you go to the opponent's warehouse, how are you going to get to your scoring positions? You have to drive either through that corner, which is going to be very difficult to get over to get to your line specific goal, or you have to drive around the shared goal, which is, again, very difficult to get around because it's a narrow passage to score. There just doesn't seem to be a point to go into the opponent's warehouse.
Couldn't you score like over the shared hub?
You
right?
can.
Like if you score from the blue side with, let's just say a horizontal extension or whatever, and score into the red side.
Right. Let's say I'm scoring above the shared hub. Now my block is high up in the air. It's going to bounce out. Right?
True.
You don't have the precision to place the block where you want it. You also are going to be placing it closer to the center. So the any blocks closer to the center are not going to tip as much as the blocks that are further out, right? Torque is equal
to... if you have some extension system or something so that you place from the blue side to the edge of the red side, just an inch or 2 above.
I guess, yeah, you could. It just, I don't see teams necessarily doing that. And you can quote me on this when we come later in the season. If teams are playing defense, I will be the happiest person to be wrong about this. I just don't see a reason to do it unless you actually drain your warehouse.
Definitely is the ranking system hasn't changed between now and Ultimate Goal, right?
It's point based.
Right. So in qualifications, definitely there's no point in playing defense. But in alliances, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Definitely agree. All right. Let's take a look at another question we got. What's the other robot doing while you're hugging the ducky? What, in your opinions, what is the other robot going to do?
Well, you're doing the ducky. Freight? The other dude's either capping or scoring freight.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think it's going to be interesting, right? If one robot is doing the 3-second cycles on the ducky, can they also cap in that time? Because 2 caps is 30 points. That's quite a bit of points. So
are the caps not alliance or team specific? Because they're called team specific shared or elements, right?
So you can cap the shared goal, I want to say, and your alliance goal.
Can you cap the shared goal?
I don't think so.
I don't think you can cap the shared goal. We'll get back to that.
It's only on your alliance goal. My bad.
I think double capping is also an interesting idea.
Yeah. A happy kid said that you could take freight from the other team's warehouse and maybe run the umbrella. I'm assuming that they're talking about the shared goal.
Shared.
But like I said, I don't think that's going to be a fast enough strategy. It's just going to take too long for you to be able to keep it in your balance. Last question that I had for you all is in the end game, are you just doing ducks? Or can you be doing something else while doing the ducks?
I think ducks
I think
too much.
I think only one team is going to be doing the ducks at a time. I don't see the point in more than one team doing it. So I think the other team should definitely just continue, trying to tip the shared goal more, or tip it if it's not already tipped towards them.
Right. Maybe if you're like super concerned about getting that shared goal, but each duck is 6 points. That's 6 points, and tipping the shared goal is 20. So if you're trying to do cycles, missing out on like 3 ducks, you just made it not worth your time.
Definitely agree. Awesome. Nice chat about this game. I think I'm really excited to see how teams decide to strategize on it. I think, Egan, you're going to compete in it. I'm very jealous. I think every single match is going to be different. And based on who you're paired with, based on who you're against, it's going to be a very different game that's played. And we're going to see that evolve as maybe a meta strategy comes, but this might be the first game without a meta strategy, I think.
Yeah.
Because let's say opponent wants to just go for the shared one. You come into that game, we're not touching the shared one. We're just going to load up that high goal, get more points than them. They can take the 20, but we're going to beat them out on the high goal. Going to be really interesting to see this play out. Really excited. Before we end the stream, can we draw for our giveaway winner, Tyler?
Yes, we can, for the $25 AndyMark gift card. If you win, by the way, please shoot First Updates Now a message with your email. We just need email for that one because it will be sent out to you. And the winner of that, and thanks again to AndyMark, is going to be LD Weiss. Congratulations for winning that. And if you're watching live, we have some more giveaways, by the way, coming up. So if you're sticking around for the Robot in 30 Hours Day 1 recap, which will take place right after this, we got another AndyMark gift card and then another giveaway from GoBuilda.
Awesome. Egan, want to end us out?
Yeah. So thank you all for the follows and subscriptions we received today. Don't forget, you can subscribe for free if you or your parents have Amazon Prime. That's on Twitch. We hope you enjoyed this episode of FTC Recap. If you want to stay connected with what First Updates Now FTC is doing, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @FunFTC, and join our Discord through the link in the chat.
Awesome. Make sure to stay tuned in for Robot in 30 Hours. They're going to be doing their day 1 recap. Really excited to see what they put together. They'll be doing a lot of field testing that's going to be showing. So they're going to talk about how many can you fit in that high goal and stuff like that. They're going to try a tile runner and go build a strafer kit across the pipes. So really excited to see that. On behalf of myself, Egan, Abbas, and our producer Tyler working behind the scenes, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks to Kettering University for their support of this video. Don't just sit in class. Kettering University is the only school in the US that allows you to work as an engineer your first year with their 3-month on, 3-month off co-op programs. If you are a US student grades 8 through 12, scan the QR code to stay up to date on info and events happening at Kettering and get a free Kettering t-shirt when you sign up by December 12th, 2021. We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting this video. Stryker is looking for current and future FIRST alumni to join their internship program, and FIRST mentors who are looking for a great career with a company who actually supports their FIRST journey. Go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. Thank you to AndyMark, GoBuilda, and Rev Robotics for providing components and giveaways to the Bulldogs Robot in 30 Hours team. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.